As the knees over toes guy, if there's one thing I know, it's ankle mobility. I wrote this up as a twice a week plan to quickly fix in like 6 weeks to get a really massive change in your ankle mobility, but I'm gonna show you how you could apply it. So if you were just doing this as a workout twice a week, you would wanna get warm first, but you could be coming out of a team practice or you could be using this as accessory to another workout. If you're already warm, you don't have to warm up first. I'll link videos of what that looks like. Next is standing calf stretch. So at ATG, we have, back in the day, I had a buddy at a steel company who made steel boards. These are actually extremely heavy. Derek now makes these for personal use. So the first limiter of ankle mobility I find is actually that the upper calves are tight, and only once you open up the upper calves will you truly get into stretching the lower calves. And you're gonna find this out firsthand, because if you put your heel on the floor and you elevate your toe, and you could use a slant board, you could use a low box when that gets easy, you could use a higher box. It doesn't matter so much what you elevate with. The first thing you're gonna feel is an upper calf stretch, but I promise you over time with this program, you're gonna feel the upper calf stretch go away, and you're actually gonna feel then lower calf stretch just from being able to lean more and more forward. But you wanna relax 3 sets. You can see the man himself right there. I got this protocol from Jeff, which is 3 sets of 90 seconds each calf. Yes, that's 9 minutes, not including the time switching legs. So 9 minutes of calf stretching is like a precursor to even working on your ankle mobility. So the goal there is to get to where you actually don't feel an upper calf stretch. So each of these will have a goal. The goal here is that you actually can't even feel an upper calf stretch anymore. You just feel the lower calf stretching. That's when you know you've taken that far enough. If you feel an upper calf stretch, then that is messing up the whole equation. Notice this is A would be making sure you're warm, B would be the calf stretching. C1, C2 means now we're actually gonna superset these two. But I was showing you this as a twice a week program, but say you are doing stuff with your team or something like that, and you're using this only as accessory, you don't have time to do this whole workout, just doing the calf stretching would be fine as a standalone thing. So say you did the calf stretching on Monday, it'd be totally fine to do that on Monday. You'll be more opened up to then do the next segment on Tuesday. So you could do that Monday, Thursday, this Tuesday, Friday, and so on. So if we look here, I put seated or standing. I'd like you to do seated if you have it. Standing will still work. 4 sets of 4 with 4-second pauses, and then we'll see, and I'll show why we're gonna superset with couch stretch. But here we have a seated calf machine. Whether you seated or standing, there's one main tip you're gonna think about, and that is to flex your tibialis at the bottom position. So when you go to the bottom position, don't just relax where you normally would. So you can see how far I'm bending there. You can see my ankle, right? But if I actually contract my own tibialis, I'm flexing right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all the way up, and then again. So this is where I'd be normally comfortable. Take a look one more time, but now watch as I contract my tibialis, how that's actually, I'm actively pulling that range. The reason we're doing 4 sets of 4 only is because I want you to be able to use enough weight to stretch it. I think that's a big mistake guys make on calf training, is they think, oh, I'm not getting ankle mobility even though I'm doing calves, but that's because they're just staying with light weight the whole time. And it's very simple to know if you're going too heavy. Notice when I did it, I got a nice full extension at the top. So if you can't get full extension at the top, it's too heavy. But go as heavy as you can. It's only 4 sets of 4 with 4-second where you're isometrically flexing the tibialis. Now, why would we superset with couch stretch? I like to use a pad. I'll bring it right back over here. I like to use a pad for the knee. And if you've seen some of our other videos, you've seen that you can work, if you're working on your quads and hip flexors, you can work couch stretch on a bench. So for back and posture and stuff like that, I actually sit at my desk. I type a lot of articles like this for extra stretching. But in this case for the ankle mobility, but come around to a side angle here and take a look at my ankle. most people, when they start doing couch stretch against the wall, you can use it on a bench. You could put your foot on a bench for your hip flexors, but I'm trying to have you address your ankle mobility in this direction. So when this is really tight, your body will keep a lot of scar tissue in the area. We're trying to put real mobility and strength in its place. So you can see the ability of your ankle to make a fully straight line is one of the key mobility targets that actually will open things up so that you can then get really good ankle mobility this way. You don't want this in the way, and that is potentiating more strength when you do the later work and you're working on your tibialis directly. You're going to be able to dig in there much better. So this is a stretch. The couch stretch is a stretch for the front of your ankle and for your hip flexors, shin and shoulders against wall. Let's take a look at that one more time. Many people will start, they'll already feel the stretch here. You can go from here, you can push back, you can put your hands on your hips and go back here. If you're too tight, start with your knee farther from the wall. But this would not be the end goal of couch stretch, neither would this. It would be getting to where your shin and your shoulders are against the wall. Now at the same time, the couch stretch was opening up your hip flexors, which can be a block in the split squat. This is just a bonus. You can't be too flexible in your hip flexors. So now with the split squat, we're gonna have the same 4x4 with 4-second pauses protocol. So if we take a look, we normally load this with dumbbells, and this is maybe your most key one. Here's 25% of my weight each hand, and this is the target I find, is to be able to stand on flat ground. And these are not very heel lifted shoes, so other shoes would be even easier. And any time of day to be able to sit your hamstrings completely covering your calves with up to a centimeter of lift. So rather than staying and being overly conservative, like if you're just watching your heel, like don't let it lift at all, go ahead and sit forward on it, even if it lifts up a little. Now if you're here, that's different. That you're just avoiding it. But if you're actively flexing that tibialis, so again, you can use that tibialis flex to ensure you're stretching as much as possible. So when I go to the bottom now, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your standard, and you can see how if your hip flexors are tighter, the ankle mobility you can do on flat ground. If your hip flexors are tighter, elevate the front foot as much as you need to. So this will allow, say the hip flexors are really tight, that's totally fine. You can still sit on that same stretch, but just know that it will be harder as you go lower, because if you look at how much of my weight is forward, as it comes lower, you're actually handling more of your own weight until so flat ground will be actually a heavier load even on your ankle. And that amount, about 25% each hand, is enough, I find, to really work your ankle mobility. That doesn't mean you can't go and get even stronger in a split squat, but that's plenty to really stretch. So what's happening here, this was to prepare us for this, but this is also working by itself, but it's preparing us to get maximum benefits out of this. And the couch stretch, again, was doing two things. It was getting us ready for the split squat for the hip flexors, and it was opening up the tibialis so we can get maximal strength. So if I walk out until I feel an ankle stretch, well, the tighter those ankles are this way, the less strong you can get them, and the less strong you can get in here, the more your body's going to keep scar tissue. So that's one of the big limiters of ankle mobility, is that people bunch up on the front, but that's because they have no strength in here, and so your body's going to cling to scar tissue as a means of support. But by putting real strength in its place, your body will be able to wash away the junk. So if you walk out until you feel an ankle stretch and you can't flex your toes up right off the bat, you know that it's actually your tibialis strength, which wraps all the way into here, And this exercise gets deep into these ligaments as well. So your strength on the front side is holding things back. So the couch stretch is stretching you out to get maximum range. And by going back and forth here, it's really nice because notice the top position here. So the top position, I'm trying to flex. So I'm actually opening up a harder contraction in that top position because of the split squat and the seated calf. So these make really beautiful supersets. Now I actually said dumbbell or wall. I showed you really quickly with the wall because that's simplest, but it's actually really amazing how simple it is to still get a workout with a precise weight, a dumbbell. And that's where I want you getting to. We saw 25% per hand in the split squat on flat ground. Well, now I'm saying you should be able to do 12.5% of your weight in a dumbbell tibialis raise for 15 reps. So by taking a floss band, which these are getting really common, Derek makes them. I think he ships worldwide, but they're also, you can obtain these really easily and really affordably. And by rolling it up first, you can actually make yourself the best tibialis machine in the world. I have a $1,000 tibialis machine, and myself and everyone else who has started using this actually feels the exercise better, and it strengthens evenly between sides. So you put your dumbbell up, you get onto a little angle so that you can wrap it around here. I start at my toes, and I'm wrapping from my toes towards the top of my laces. And if it gets tough there at the end, then just reduce one, and then you can wrap it through really easily. Now, I'm putting this out to the edge, getting my ankle off, straightening my leg. Now look at that stretch right there, and then flex. This is 12.5 kilos. I don't weigh 100 kilos. 100 kilos is 220 pounds. I weigh about 80 kilos, so this is quite a bit more than 12.5%. But my point is that I want you really getting strong in this. So for me, 10 kilos would be about perfect, but I've already achieved 10 kilos for 15 reps. So I'm challenging myself. Even over the course of the 4 sets, you may fatigue. So you're seeing that you're getting that ankle stretch right there. And now, look at this. This is classical strength training. Tibialis is at failure. And that's where the magic really starts to come in for your ankle mobility, is when you're doing great quality ankle mobility, strength through length, but also working it from the other side. Working it from that other side is what transforms this and gives it the room to move in the first place. So we're almost done here. There's one more thing. I put it last because it's kind of like a finishing touch, meaning you wouldn't have to do this, but I find if you can also get this in, then you're really putting the finishing touch on your gain. So again, best case scenario, you do this program twice a week. Worst case scenario, you break it up. You can do that Monday, Thursday, that Tuesday, Friday, this Wednesday, Saturday, and then you could throw this in after the workout of your choice. It would go great after any of these workouts, really. So Patrick step up just means a flat box reverse step up. It's that simple. And a 6-inch box is a good mark. It's as simple as keeping this foot flat and reaching your heel to the floor. That's the essence of it. If you look at it from a side angle, you'll see that my glutes, if my glutes finish behind my ankle, so hips, if my hips finish behind my ankle, then I didn't actually put enough load on the ankle mobility. So you're not avoiding ankle mobility, you're actually trying to get ankle mobility. You don't have to lean back though. A simple hips in front of ankle means the weight's on the ankle. So right here, I can feel it, the weight's on the ankle. And like any exercise, you can progress or regress. So oftentimes people have to start on a lower box, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's very important, some final tips, that only your heel is on the floor. That prevents cheating with the other leg. It's important at the top that you don't stand on the box. I want you having to do the balance yourself. So it's only heel touches, balance, slow down, pause, balance, and then 6 inches is going to be the standard of this program. But once you get to 6 inches, we load this simply by putting a bar on our back. So when I coach people and they get to 6 inches with their own body weight on their back for 10 reps, so I'm now working on a 9-inch box with my own body weight on my back. So this strength through length, even through the quads, and then you might feel your feet burning, but the whole concept is that, again, by putting the strength there, if you're very weak in this motion, your body's probably going to stay tight in an attempt to protect you. So by getting now strong in this motion, we can put real strength in place of the scar tissue, and then that opens up your ankle mobility, which how far and how strong your ankle can bend is the #1 determinant of entire lower body injury, as determined by one of my mentors who trained 286 Olympic medalists, far more than anyone else who's ever lived. So ankle mobility is worth the time. It's worth the time to put in. I made this program for you so you don't even have to mess up your schedule. You can do this on top of anything else you're doing in life. Most ATG programs will actually have most of, if not all of these components already. I made this specifically for guys who go into a season or whatnot. They already know they're struggling with ankle mobility and they don't have time to do a full ATG program. So you can use it with yourself and with others. So the final goal here would be that a baseline would be 100% of body weight on 6-inch box, at which point you would go higher. So there's some targets to shoot for. This will work wonders. 6 weeks, 2 times a week for 6 weeks will produce a huge change, and you'll get more athletic in the process. See you guys in the gym.